We do, certainly. We have, we sort of can commiserate with an awful lot of marginalized peoples out there. And so yeah, by all means, guys, everybody watch. You know, we welcome all our viewers and the whole handful of them that are out there.
All 12 or 13 of you.
And by the way, this is a call-in show.
Prove me wrong. Call in.
Tonight we are live, so you can call us. And next week we'll be live, but the following week...
Following 2 weeks will be taped.
Following 2 weeks will be taped,
yep.
Right. So that's going to be... and taped shows can be fun, too, so we're going to have a good time with that. And one activity that's not on there that I've talked to you guys about is of course our girls' night out in Paris, which we're going to do one way or another. We are doing a girls' night out in Paris. And by the way, I believe you're watching out there, Weef, and if you are coming to Paris. So don't forget.
You may want to plan it to be a little longer than just one night. To make
it will be.
Right. Girls' Week in Paris.
Well, yes, it will be a stretched girls' night out. It will be a pretty much
extended weekend.
Yes, absolutely. So that's that's not going to happen immediately, but that will.
No,
be fun.
That may be a little ways off yet.
So
yeah,
girls' night out in Paris. That's sort of my pet project. I don't know how I'm going to make it happen. But.
When you marry that rich guy, he can send us all.
Exactly. I want somebody that will take me to Paris. I did go out with a guy. Here we go. It's time to talk about my love life. I did go out with a guy, Didier. His name was Didier. He was a Frenchman. He was from Fontainebleau, which is just outside of Paris, and he visits there a couple times a year, and he wanted to take me to Paris. He was going to take me to Paris. I liked him, too. It was a crying shame, because I really liked that guy. But he had some flaws, and I just couldn't deal with it. And
he was a Frenchman.
He had this. I couldn't understand a word he said. I could never understand what he was saying, especially on the phone. It was like, okay, I don't know what you're saying, but it sounds great. This accent was wonderful. But he was actually kind of a cool guy. But he was argumentative, and I just got to the point I couldn't take it anymore, and I had to dump him. But I did like him. But he was going to take me to Paris.
Well, so for anyone watching, you know the way to Callie's heart. An engagement ring and a trip to Paris.
Yeah, I need a little bling on this finger here.
We have to have something to show off on the Champs-Elysees.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's it. I'm going to be sipping coffee in a little bistro. And
have the ring catch the light.
Yeah. Okay, anyway, all right.
There's your 5 minutes.
There's my love life, my non-existent love life, anyway. Okay, I'll stop. I wanted to, Tambria sent me something. Thanks, Tambria. She sent me something the other day, which was very interesting. Apparently, there was something going on in Florida. Apparently, Florida had been the only state in the nation that banned gays and lesbians from adopting children, and apparently that has been thrown out. So apparently now gays and lesbians can adopt in Florida, which I thought was very interesting. I didn't realize that was true. How discriminatory is that? That was just insane. But apparently that was thrown out. So bravo on that. I won't go into a lot of detail on that.
Isn't that funny? A single parent could adopt a kid, but two men or two women together aren't allowed to.
Yeah, it was bizarre.
It's ridiculous.
It was bizarre, and so that's gone apparently. So I'm very happy about that. But
I think there's still in some parts of the country a deep-seated fear that homosexuality can be learned.
Yeah, I know it's crazy, but. You know.
Or even better, they contract it through osmosis.
Yeah. We also got something. We got something from Diana.
Just today,
which was very interesting. And I have not had a good chance to read this. It has to do with Barney Frank, our friend Barney Frank.
Barney Frank.
And
the promises that he's making for the upcoming administration.
And I probably should just read this. This was something that I got. This was sent. This was actually sent by Gunnar Scott, director of the Massachusetts Transgender Political Coalition, which was forwarded by Diana, which had to do with this Barney Frank thing, which, if you guys will bear with me for about a minute and a half here, I'll just simply read this, because I really didn't have a chance to read it yet, and so I won't really be able to paraphrase it very well. But anyway, this was actually the email which was forwarded to us by Diana, who has been on the show and will be on again.
Yep.
Who is always welcome on our show. And thanks, Diana. She probably can't watch this, but she may see it later.
Probably on her way home from school.
Anyway, so I'm just going to read this. This was the email. It says, Representative Barney Frank had a busy week last week. That with listening to the auto executives begging for a handout, that didn't stop him from delivering an address to the Victory Fund and the Gay and Lesbian Leadership Institute on Saturday, December 6th at the Mayflower Hotel in Washington, D.C. Although no press was allowed at the event, several gay bloggers, including myself, were in attendance to listen to Representative Frank's speech. Frank spent a good deal of time talking about the many advances our community has made, Proposition 8 notwithstanding. He expressed confidence that the new Congress and the new administration will press for a fully inclusive hate crimes bill. But when the topic gravitated towards the Employment Non-Discrimination Act, Representative Frank made it very clear that he would not be pushing for gender identity to be covered under this bill. I think we can be idealists, but we still need to be pragmatic, Frank said. He claimed there is still a lot of ignorance about transgender in society. Taken together, these two statements give Frank a lot of wiggle room to weasel out of pressing for transgender inclusion when a new version of the Employment Non-Discrimination Act is introduced in the next Congress. I don't think any of us in the room were surprised by Representative Frank's speech, but I would think that after he has had many opportunities to make amends for throwing the transgender members of our community under the bus last year, only to see ENDA fail in the end anyway, perhaps Barney Frank would have approached this group of bloggers in a more contrite fashion. The fact of the matter is that transgender people are 8 to 10 times more likely to be unemployed than the general population. And while many people are facing the threat of layoffs, if anyone needs an Employment Non-Discrimination Act in the current economy, it's the transgender members of our community. And I do have some of that information about that statistic, the 8 to 10 times more likely, which I will get to probably later. Anyway, shame on you, Mr. Frank, for refusing to budge on this issue. You made a point in your speech that we are facing the strongest Democratic Congress since the New Deal. And in January, we'll have a president who is fully committed to representing the entire LGBT community. If you aren't willing to represent transgender folks at a time of such democratic strength in Washington, perhaps you should admit that you never will be willing to do it. And if you're not willing to support transgender people, you should not call yourself a leader of this community. I hope that our readers will take the time to send a letter to Representative Frank urging him to reconsider his position on this issue. You can find his full contact information on his website, and certainly that's easy enough to find. But anyway, I thought that was rather interesting. So he sold us out again, or is planning to sell us out again.
Right.
Thanks a lot, Barney.
He's throwing away the paper before he writes the deal.
Anyway, we have a caller. Good evening, nlcTrans. You're on the air.
Hi, ladies. It's Weefy.
Oh, hey, Weef. So,
I just walked in the house, and Josh said you said we're going to Paris.
yes. Yes.
When are we leaving?
As soon as possible. Yeah, I was saying we're going to, I still want to do, you and I have talked about this.
Oh, yeah.
I still want to do a girls' night out in Paris.
That would be fun.
Which, of course, will be a week in Paris, but or so. Maybe 2. Who knows?
Well, time's different when you're there.
Yeah, we'll be on when we're in Paris, we will be on Cali time. So,
okay.
So it'll be a week.
That would be a crazy time.
But you are definitely going to come.
You just let me know.
Okay.
Just wanted to say hi.
Hi. Thanks for watching.
All right. Good night.
See you tomorrow.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yes. That's my very dear friend, Weef. Anyway, so
Mr. Frank.
That is the Barney Frank thing. Imagine that, huh?
Yep. Openly gay legislature got approval for what for legislation that would support and protect him,
Yeah.
and then called it quits.
Well, okay.